What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people when I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on? What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. We're in the new studio today, ladies and gentlemen. Can I get a round of applause for the new studio? I like the new studio. We tweaking some things here and there. We're getting started a little bit later than usual, but I'm here. What's going on, friends? How y'all doing today? We're going to be making some changes over the next month, but more importantly, you guys are in for a treat. I told you we was going to be changing some things here, right? Did I not tell you we were going to change some things? That we were going to have a new studio, that we were going to do some new uniforms and things like that. We got some camera work going. It's a lot of things happening right now, okay? So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Matter of fact, let's do this the right way. Let's do this the right way. If you're here for the first time, make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. If you're here for the second time, is no reason why you guys should not be subscribed. There's no reason at all right? So what we're going to do going into 2025 is we're going to turn it up a notch, all right? We're going to make sure that everyone that wants to continue to grow with us, we here for you. If you are not a part of the Bag Chasers, you need to be a part of the Bag Chasers. Shout out to everybody inside of the chat. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Yes. 100% independent, rocking out, and taking care of business. What's going on, chat? Let me zoom in and see what some of my friends is talking about. What's going on, friends? I see you, Jeremy Clay. I see everybody inside of the chat. Again, we're going to be tweaking some things here and there just to make sure that everything is good. But you guys are the greatest audience on earth. You've seen the growth. You've seen the evolution. I got a new Patreon video for you guys this week, and I hope that everybody is happy. Y'all ready to get started with the show? I'm definitely looking to get started with the show. Let me read the first super chat of the day. I got my dog Daniel Joseph in the building. Daniel Joseph says, "You look very dapper." Well, thank you. This is how I dress when I'm outside of the studio and I decide not to have a hoodie on. What else we got going on today? Should we just go ahead and get started with the show? Start off with quick hits, maybe a little bit of prayer. What do you guys think? Let me read some of these Cash Apps. I don't even got my phone on me. Let me read some of these Cash Apps and then we're going to go from there. All right? Give me a second. Make sure everybody that support the platform is acknowledged. I want to give a special shout out to ESDC in the building. Chris James, you did not get the credit that you deserved the last Friday, and I want to make sure that I acknowledge you. Thank you, Chris James, for continuing to hold us down. Also want to give a shout out to Rand Wilson. Shout out to Rand Wilson and Mike that dude. Shout out to Mike that dude. I love you. I appreciate you. You are absolutely one of the most phenomenal people ever. Let me go ahead and holler at my dog Bitcoin Brown. Bitcoin Brown says, let's get this quick hits intro video integrated. We working on it. I've been in here all weekend. We've been cleaning up, dusting, taking care of business, everything. You know what I'm saying? Dane, what up, Dane? Dane, I appreciate you for continuing to hold me down. Thank you for the 2-ball, my friend. Thank you to everybody that support the platform. And again, if you're not a part of the Bag Chasers, make sure you tap into the Bag Chasers. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Christina, what up, Christina? Christina says, congratulations on growth and continued success. Thank you, Christina. I appreciate you. Sly White is in the building. Sly White says, building and they will come. You out of here, bro. Sly, I appreciate you. Thank you, Sly, for holding me down. I am Annie Marie with the super sticker. Thank you, I am Annie Marie. Thank you for holding me down. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get started with the show. I'll continue to read super chats throughout the show. All right? We're going to still do things the way that we've been doing it. We're not going to change anything up. We're just going to continue to do it the way that we've been doing it, all right? So we're going to lead off with prayer. Y'all say, what brand of shirt does Anton wear? AD, baby. That's all we wear is AD, baby. We don't wear nothing but AD, all right? We move into new levels and new things and everything in our life, all right? All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get started with some prayer. Lord, we ask that you continue to be with us. Bless us with growth. Bless us with all great things. Anything that could and would go wrong, leave it out of our life. We done with that. No more dustiness. No more issues, no more problems, no more anything moving forward in 2025 and beyond, all right? Anything that everybody else has to suffer from, let it miss us. Let us catch the lesson without having to go through it per se, and let us continue to grow, all right? So we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. Quick Hits. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think that we need to dedicate an entire segment to, but we want to keep you guys in the loop on what's going on. Also, on top of that, we want to tackle wildfires, celebrities going broke, Dennis Quaid, Mel Gibson, JD Vance is resigning from his position. We got so much to go over, all right? So, Quick Hits. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think that we need to dedicate an entire segment to, but we want to keep you guys in the loop on what's going on in these streets. First things first, a lot of people are finding themselves waking up, going to see whether or not their home is burned down, and finding nothing but rubble as a result of it. Check it out.
It is the heartbreak that is nearly beyond measure for legions of homeowners no more. Their refuge and all that accompanies the physical manifestations of their lives, reduced to rubble, melted into a hellish landscape where all that remains is the memories of what had been.
It was like our dream come true that we worked so hard to get here, and now to see it this way. I never thought I would live through something like this.
33-year-old Renata Ortega and her Irish-born husband Andrew on the site of what was their Glenrose Street home in Altadena. Just one parcel of a sea of dreams lost. A home and a livelihood. A floral studio in back employed up to 10 people.
I need to continue because my team and my community needs me as well.
They left in the middle of the night, following the final evacuation order from a sheriff's unit. The wind so loud, one neighbor, a man in his late 70s, could not hear the loudspeaker above the howling gales that had overwhelmed an entire community.
I grabbed him by the hand. He couldn't even barely would get dressed as he was trying to drag himself in the car. He had his phone, a charger around his cable, and his walking cane. And I dragged him in the car. The ambers were coming in the car at the same time. And that was it. We just drove forward, and he was like, he couldn't comprehend what was happening. He woke up to that.
It's a lot of people that are waking up to nothing today, y'all. And so in the midst of criticizing and in the midst of holding people accountable and talking about leadership, because we're going to have enough of that. We'll have enough of that for a lifetime. We have to make sure that we also keep people inside of our prayers and just thank God. You know, thank God for all of those people. I see a lot of celebrities. I was looking at Tiege and a bunch of other people saying that they lost their 10 and 12 and $13 million homes and that they was going to move to Europe and stuff like that. Nobody asked for this. I mean, you can hold people accountable and say that they voted for it, but nobody in particular asked to be put inside of this situation. In addition to that, over in California, Los Angeles, and all of the surrounding areas, Gavin Newsom, a lot of people are not familiar with this, and I don't think that this is a part of the conversation that's been added, at least not over here at the Millionaire Morning Show, but there's a lot of people, inmates, incarcerated inmates that has been signed up as firefighters. Check it out.
Meanwhile, there are thousands of professional firefighters as well as volunteers battling the fires, but you might not know that there are also nearly 1,000 inmates, prisoners of the California correction system, also out there on the front lines. The Forestry and Fire Recruitment Program works to assist those who were released from being incarcerated transition into a professional career in forestry and wildland firefighting. Royal Ramey is the co-founder and chief of this program. Royal, thank you so much for joining us and talking to us about this. We appreciate it. I worked in LA, covered news for a long time, and I remember covering the wildfires. You would see, the inmates up there, cutting those fire lines. Talk to us a little bit more about the program that you represent.
Yeah, so first off, I want to say thanks for having me. I also want to send out my thoughts and prayers out to the families who have been impacted by the LA fires, and a big thank you to all the first responders and volunteers who are serving the LA community. What we do pretty much is 4 ways we do it. So we recruit, we train, we help them get a job, and then we mentor them throughout their career. And we're so proud that we have our graduates that came out of our program out there in LA right now fighting those fires, and we are proud of them.
And what do y'all think about that? I turned the volume up a little bit for the people. We tweaking some things. What do y'all think about inmates participating in fighting fires? What do y'all think about inmates participating in doing any of the jobs that we don't necessarily care for? I have always suggested that inmates or people that are locked up for certain crimes should be able to, I think that the rules are too lenient that people are able to get off of good behavior. I think that the easiest way for people to pay their debt to society is to truly pay their debt to society and doing some of the things that other people don't do. I don't think we need as many immigrants into this country as other people may need, or other people may think that we need. I think that we could possibly start to take some of these inmates that's incarcerated and integrate them into society and show them what hard work looks like. Instead of having them running around inside of a prison cell and with contraband and stabbing people and doing things, maybe you can come off of a 25-year sentence a lot earlier, depending on how often you work within society or you do some of the things. Maybe they need to serve their country a little bit more effectively. I don't know. I've always believed that there's better ways for us to utilize inmates instead of us spending $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 per inmate per year to house, clothe, feed them, and all of that stuff. I don't know why we don't utilize them in the same way that, or in a more effective way than the military or something like that. Why shouldn't they have to earn their way back into society? Why are they able to just chill out, go and visit their cousins, sit around every single day? I was a fan of the chain gang. I'm a fan of the chain gang. I don't know why we don't have inmates doing things and paying their debts to society differently than we are now. Why do we politicize everything to the point to where we can't utilize them effectively in society, but instead we got to spend our taxpayer dollars in order to continue to build up the prison industrial complex? Why isn't that one of the most innovative ideas in our legislature? How come somebody is not introducing that? Dwight said no murderers can rot in jail. Well, I'm not talking about murderers. And why should murderers still be able to chill? For some reason, you are under the impression that they just sitting there in the dark doing nothing all day. They having fun. They doing triathlons. They playing basketball. They lifting weights. They having a good time. They get iPads. They learning stuff. They doing all kind of stuff. Why shouldn't we ease the burden on taxpayers by allowing for them to earn their keep and earn their way back into society. And you have to understand also that murderers don't always spend the rest of their life in jail. A lot of them wind up getting out. I don't know, just something to think about. And then last but not least, Meta, Amazon, and more are rolling back their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Check it out.
Tonight, a major change-up in the corporate world as tech behemoths Amazon and Meta are dialing back their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Anti-DEI activist Robbie Starbuck recently telling CNBC,
they're causing division employee on employee, and you're losing money.
Amazon saying in a recent memo, we've been winding down outdated programs and materials. And Meta told employees Friday, given the shifting legal and policy landscape, the company is changing DEI programs focused on hiring.
Somebody said that, let me read this not super chat, but let me read this. Ellen says, people will say it's slave labor and will be an incentive to falsely arrest people. Well, I think that there's good and bad in everything. We just got to put parameters around it. You got to figure out how to punish police officers for falsely arresting people or, from the powers that be. I mean, it's always going to be a yin and a yang, right? It's almost like the internet. Even with the internet, it's funny because it's supposed to be meant for good. It's supposed to be allowing for us to communicate more effectively and get to and from and eliminate paper and send emails, all of this other stuff. What it was created for is something completely different than what some other people use it for. Some people use it for bullying. Some people use it for the dark web. Some people use it for corn, all of this other stuff, right? So it's going to be a yin and a yang. You got to figure out how to manage that and how to regulate that more effectively. But I still think that it's something that we need to explore.
And picking suppliers. CEO Mark Zuckerberg on Joe Rogan's podcast Friday.
It's one thing to say we want to be kind of like welcoming and make a good environment for everyone. And I think it's another to basically say that masculinity is bad. And I just think we kind of swung culturally to that part of the kind of the spectrum where.
When did Mark Zuckerberg become when did he become red pill? Hey, Mark Zuckerberg is basically evolving and morphing into another version of Elon Musk, to be honest with you. When did Mark Zuckerberg start talking about masculinity and diversity, equity, and inclusion rollbacks and removing censorship? And instead of having fact checkers, he now wants to he wants to have legal notes, or he wants to have notes on the screen that just gives you more information about what it is that you're looking for. When did Mark Zuckerberg start getting balls? Did he just go through a divorce or something?
It's all like, okay, masculinity is toxic. We have to like get rid of it completely. It's like
his comments come as tech giants appear to be trying to make inroads with the incoming president, a vocal critic of DEI policies. And following similar moves from companies like Ford, Walmart, and McDonald's. Still, some companies are bucking the trend. Costco's board urging shareholders to vote against a proposal to reevaluate its DEI policies that they say enhance our capacity to attract and retain employees and satisfaction among its diverse customer base, as the workplace sees a new wave of scrutiny.
Yeah, I'm over the DEI. You can miss me with the diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. I don't think anybody, they have whole jobs that's dedicated to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Like, you can go on a college campus or you can get hired at a job and your job description is diversity, equity, and inclusion director. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your quick hits. All right. Let me go ahead and read some of these super chats and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. So, first of all, let me read some of these. I want to do the Cash Apps first, all right? ESDC, Jalen Hawkins. Shout out to Jalen Hawkins. I appreciate you for holding me down, big dog. On Cash App, I'm going to read some of these super chats, and then we're going to go from there, all right? And we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. JL Jr., shout out to JL Jr., says, looking good, Big Money Daniels. Mind if I call you that? Not trying to sound cringy. You can call me whatever you want as long as you don't call me broke, big dog. Tuition to OG Daniels, the new studio is hotter than California fires. I was trying to figure out, matter of fact, you know what? Let's do this. Let's switch it up for the super chats, all right? All right, studio fire. There we go. All right, shout out to you. I appreciate you, Self-Made Forever. Anton, thanks for giving me some good to my eyes on this Monday morning. Very handsome. Oh, y'all said I clean up good? Yeah. Just King in the building says new studio is fire. AD don't miss. Hit the like, subscribe, and become a bag chaser. I appreciate you, Just King. Supreme by Nature TV says, what up, though? I appreciate you, Supreme. Eric Wealth Harris says, AD, no black tea? Nah, we done with the black teas, big dog. That's over. We moving into a new era. Just joined the Bag Chasers this week. Let me get a round of applause for you. I'm about to immerse myself in Stock Club videos. Appreciate you for your content and the knowledge you give. Willingly trying to better myself in 2025. Shout out to Big Easy and everybody that's running it up. Make sure y'all join the Bag Chasers. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Congrats on a new setup. Anton looks great. We are grateful for you and wish you the best in 2025 bag chasing. I appreciate you. Elizabeth, what up, Liz? I appreciate you also. JK in the building. JK says new studio was fire. Congrats, AD. Danny Shade says, why didn't they use these same inmates to clear the brush to prevent fires, proactive instead of reactive? I think that's what they was trying to do, right? Y'all let me know if that was what they was trying to do. I think I missed a couple. Hold on. Let me make sure. Shout out to Will Nola. Will Nola says, good morning, big dog. What it do? Let me see what else we got going on here. If I missed you, then I'm sorry. I'm modifying stuff and I'm changing stuff as it goes on. Supreme by Nature TV says, inspired, bro. Set up as dope. Q is my crush, by the way. Levi Apparel says, Anton, I'm running, I'm free. Shout out to Levi Apparel. Cynthia Haynes says, bro, Anton, you look good this morning. Thank you for addressing this issue concerning our incarcerated loved ones on the front line. Michigan needs to bring back good times, make good sense. Appreciate you, Cynthia Haynes. Daddy Day Trip says, in California, inmates working the dairy farms, clear fire lines, and yes, license plate. California just passed a law allowing inmates who meet the fire camp threshold to be firefighters after release. Dope studio. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Well, it don't really matter if they cutting the budget by $17.5 million, though, right? I refuse my first super chat to go to anyone but Anton. Thank you for giving so much value while I'm at work and day in and day out. Thank you for teaching and leading. Thank you, my love. I appreciate you. Tia Marie in the building says, it's giving fresh dress like $1 million. Threw on the Valley shoes and the green fly green socks. Love the tangible growth. Thank you, AD, for being authentically you. Hashtag from the vision to reality. That's what we talking about. Thank you, Tia Marie. My girl Molly in the building. What up, Molly? Molly says, good morning. Anton looking very dapper in the studio. Looks amazing. Amazing. Wait till y'all see the rest of it. I'm going to give y'all a Patreon exclusive tour of the whole thing so y'all can get an idea of what's going on. Alex Oubre says, I see the sub. I've been got the same band on my master. Oh, you see it? You see it? All right, don't worry about that. We're going to switch up watches. We're not just going to do the rollie, Alex. Camille says, hey, AD, the studio looks great. Do you still need a producer? I'm working on it. I'm still going through the resumes. I promise you I am. Good morning to the Go to YouTube. I appreciate you, Keyshawn White. Latrell, what up? Latrell M, I appreciate you. I follow Zucky has become very crimson pill. Really? Call me Tazzy in the building says, taking my first ever vacation of daytime. Shout out to Tazzy and thank you for the 50 ball. I appreciate you, big dog. Courtney in the building says, big dog. Said he going big this year. Inspiring, fam. I've been remaining consistent and the numbers are slowly going up. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, Courtney. Dom Haynes also says the setup is fire for someone who wants to get in the YouTube space because you do a video where you go over your setup. That's going to be on the Patreon. Literally, I'm releasing that video today. Either today or tomorrow because I got to catch a flight on Wednesday. All right. So I'm going to be doing a show Wednesday. No. I'm sorry. Wednesday, we're going to be doing a show here. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we here. Thursday, we doing a show on the road. Friday, we doing a show on the road. Monday, it's going to be pre-recorded. Tuesday, we doing a show on the road. Wednesday, we back in the studio. I'll give you guys an update going on. But if you're not a part of the Bag Chasers, then you're not gonna see the studio, all right? Shout out to my dog Classy Beats, and I appreciate Classy. Classy says my dog looking fresh in the new studio. Dressed for that 30 M's. Let's go. They need to see what you have to dress for the job that you. Don't worry, I'm gonna get there. You know what? I got a whole soliloquy lined up for you guys today. Mr. Robinson says, looking smooth, Anton. Now, where's that sexy weather reporter, Mika? I was thinking about that this morning. I promise you I was thinking about that this morning. DJ Ace Productions says the studio looks great and was well worth the investment. He cleaned up on his suit and tie. Salute. Shout out to my dog DJ Ace Productions. And Rahi Dash in the building. I appreciate you, Rahi Dash. Let me say this real quick. All right. I went to this Kevin Hart event last night. All right. I went to this Kevin Hart before we get into the whole show. I went to this Kevin Hart but show last night, right? And so he had it at the Fox Theater in Detroit. And it was his last show. And so I spent the majority of my morning, I spent it focused on setting up the new studio, making sure that lights work, going in with all of the new remotes, planning and doing all of these different things, basically putting things in position for you guys to be able to experience what I'm about to show y'all over this next month. So over the next month, you guys will see new things, a lot of new things, right? You're going to be seeing different backgrounds for the Anton Daniels show. I have new shows that I want to introduce. I have new content creators that I'm working on and working with. I got new interviews, some really, really, really big interviews lined up for you guys. And so I'm excited for you guys. But one thing I learned about Kevin Hart at his show yesterday was that this dude is truly dedicated to his craft, regardless of who you like and regardless of who you think your favorite comedian is. If you've ever truly been to a Kevin Hart show, and I would encourage you guys to not, if you are interested in going to a show, don't just go to the stadium tours, because the way that Kevin Hart does his show is he sets it up like this, right? Every few years, he goes into this mode. And I've been studying him, and I study the greats. I study the Steve Harveys. I study the Kevin Harts. And I don't study them or the Steve Harvey as far as his relationship advice. I study him as far as mastering his craft and his work ethic, right? And so I study a lot of these different guys, and I read their books and I look at their biographies and all of that. And I've seen some consistency and I've seen some changes in how he does things, but it's all based off of a system that he implements, right? And so Kevin Hart, what he does is every couple years or every few years, he goes back on tour. And he starts at the ground level. And so what he does is he'll go on tour and he'll start at the comedy clubs and he'll go into comedy clubs and he'll do it like that, right? And he'll work his way through his material and all of that. And then next thing you know, he'll start working through the smaller theaters and things. And all the while he's doing movies, he's doing podcasts, he's jumping on Kai Cenat stuff, streams and stuff like that. He's learning, he's evolving, he's paying attention to the latest technology, who's up and coming. He collabs with people. He works consistently. He don't take no time off. He just work. You don't even know if he had time off. All you see is movie, Kevin Hart. Then he goes back on tour, right? And so when he goes back on tour, he does these comedy clubs and then he transitions over into the smaller theaters and then he works his way up through the bigger theaters and he's doing show after show after show after show. Show after show. He come to Detroit. I think he did 3 or 4 shows in Detroit. He did like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so we went to the last show. And he keep his crew with him. And then he starts to transition over into being in the arenas, right? And so I've been studying him ever since Laugh at My Pain and Grown Little Man and all of that stuff that he's been doing, right? And a lot of people don't necessarily care for Kevin Hart, or they'll say that they like Cat Williams more. And Cat Williams, if you look at Cat Williams, he does the same thing. He stays on the road. He has a different method that he does, but he stays on the road, right? And when I look at these people and I see their growth and I see their success, and so I went to the show yesterday, and he's truly become a master of his craft. He's engaged, he's animated, he's not just out there, he's trying to give you the best bang for your buck and all of that stuff, right? And so the show was hilarious. I love the show. We had a good time and all of that. But here's the biggest thing that I learned from Kevin Hart is that they can't beat you at what you love, what you love to do. They cannot beat you at what you love to do. Okay, so let me break it down for you from a different perspective. Content creators hit me up all the time and they say, Anton, how can I get into YouTube? I see basketball players, NFL players, former CNN people, everybody and their mama trying to get into the game because the thing that they once criticized is the thing that they now want to be a part of. But here's the key, right? Here's the key. They were being produced. When you was on that football field, you gave it your all because that was a thing that was meaningful to you. When you was in that studio for Fox News or MSNBC or CNN, you gave it your all because that's what, actually, you didn't even give it your all. They were making you come in. When you guys go to your jobs every day, they have to give you a schedule. Otherwise, you would never show up. If they didn't make you return to work, you would never even know what the office feels like. I could do this show from home. I have been over the last 6 weeks while my studio was being done over. I came into the game and I seen a whole lot of people that came into the game, and I've been in the game for a long time, right? I seen a lot of people come, a lot of people went. Some people are still here, but they just existing. 90 to 95% of most of the people that I've seen come in the game, they rise, they fall, they disappear, or they just coast until they just fail to exist and they fall out of your algorithm. And there's a common thread with it. Some people just not talented to be in the game in the first place, but there's a common thread that comes along with it. And the common thread is this, is that nobody can beat you at what you love to do. If somebody has to make you stream, if somebody has to motivate you to get your content together, if somebody got to motivate you to go to work every day, if your narrative is, I can't wait to retire, or I'm working to retire, or I can't wait to quit, you're not going to make it in this game. You need to go and get a regular job and go and do your thing. Honest to God, I'm just going to tell you the truth. The first thing that goes is your mentality. The minute that you have a bad day, the minute that you oversleep, the minute that you get tired, the minute that you get burned out, the minute that you're done. We gonna filter through 99% of everybody by just them not even being motivated to do it, or they did it for a little while, or they get tired. 100% of the time. I look at the Kevs and those type of guys, you can tell, whether you like him or not, he loves what he does. He loves what he does. Real talk. He love it. He love the game. He love the jokes. He love the tour. He love to work. He love to run it up. He loves to dress and then show off what it is that he got on. He loves being animated. He laughs at his own jokes before he even can get them out. He loves what he does. And you can't teach that. You can't teach work ethic. You can't teach dedication. You can't teach day in and day out, never missing. You can't teach being motivated to reinvest back into yourself. I see some of these content creators and they got the same setup, that same trash, basement, back sheet over things. It's the same thing every day. Still talking about the same thing with the same panel members. Don't put no effort, no reinvestment, just want all of the money, don't even want to give none of the money back into putting it into themselves. They really don't. Honest to God. They don't want this. They don't want this. And they not going to get it. You'll never make $1 million being lazy. You'll never make $1 million not loving what you do. $1 million a year is reserved for the people that actually really want to get to it. $1 million a year is going to be reserved for the people that truly want to get to it. And I'm not talking about getting to it today because you feel motivated, or you see the studio, or you see my dedication, or you see how I continue to grow. Every single year, I look at what I did last year and I just create a whole vision board of what I'm going to execute on this year. And I make sure I hit every single one of those things and I bust through it. You can't fake this. The people can see it. The people can see whether or not you really want to be there. If you really want to stream, if you excited, if you laughing, if you motivated, the people know. You can't fake this. You can't fake whether or not you're good at what you do. You can't fake communicating and putting on a show for 2 hours by yourself. You can't fake how you really are trying to push people forward and whether or not people are dedicated and stuff. People keep on coming on and doing reaction videos and asking me, Anton, get a game. Anton, give $1,000. Anton, give $2,000. Man, give it to yourself. We both regular people with 24 hours a day, and you want me to fix you. You want a man to fix another grown man and to show you and to teach you and to pour into you and to help you to understand how you're supposed to be a content creator or how you can go and get to the bag. Man, you got to get up and wake up and go and get that. Ain't nobody giving nobody nothing. Ain't nobody putting no money into this. Ain't nobody telling me what I'm supposed to do. I figure it out as I go. I try, I fail, I get back up. I try, I fail, I get back up. I try, I fail, I get back up. I go to sleep dreaming about what time I'm going to get up so that I can get to the studio early so that I can work. I went to bed, honest to God, dreaming last night about a new idea for a business that I want to put money into. Is it going to fail? Probably the first go round it will. And the second go round until we figure it out and then we blow through $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 of the money that we could have went and bought a new Corvette with. We going to go ahead and blow it on this business so we can fail forward and try to come up with a new concept and idea that's probably going to be incredible. Because I only got to win once. I could fail 20 times going forward, failing forward, but I only got to have one hit to get rich. That's my mentality. If I fail 30 times revising this thing, if it took me 10 years to figure out this content creation thing, I was going to win. Because I only got to get it right once. I only got to bust it down once. I only got to get one hit and then I'm out of there. But I love this game. I love the process. You know how much money I failed in as far as with this whole home building process, how much I overspent. Some of y'all that's a part of the Patreon. Some of y'all are part of the Patreon and you seen how much I overspent on the first home that I built. But guess what? The second one, it's crazy. And the third one that we got in flight is crazy. And the fourth one that we broke ground on just 2 days ago is crazy. You gotta love it. You got to live it. You got to immerse yourself in it. You got to be in the streets. You got to be doing street interviews. You got to wake up living this every single day. You got to go to work on your regular job and come home like I can't wait to put 6, 7, 8 hours in this thing every single day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If that's not you, go and get a regular job. But just stop whining about what you don't have because you are in the greatest country on the face of this earth. And the fact that you're not winning ain't got nothing to do with the white man. It ain't got nothing to do with the system. It ain't got nothing to do with your opportunities. It ain't got nothing to do with your girlfriend. It ain't got nothing to do with your baby mama. It ain't got nothing to do with your kids. It's on you. Everything that you put into this world is what you're going to get back. And it's times 2. Negative or positive. You put negative energy into what you got going on, then you're going to get 10 times the years. You put positive energy into what you got going on, you're going to win on an exponential level. But the fact of the matter is you can't keep complaining about it. You got to run it up, big dog. You a grown man. You 5'11". You 5'11". What you doing asking another man to pour into you? That sounds sassy to me. Honest to God. That sounds sassy to me. It sounds sassy to me. No, you wanted to go get a Hellcat. No, you wanted some Amiris. No, ladies, you wanted to go and take a trip over to Tulum instead of pouring into your business, instead of dedicating yourself, because you don't love it. You love Tulum more than you love your business. You love that dude more than you love your growth. You love everything else except for what you're supposed to love, and you ain't doing what you're supposed to do because that's where you put your energy into. You ain't got to tell me that you love me. I know what you love by what you put your energy into. That's where your goals are. That's where your heart is. That's where your soul is. What you put your money into, what you invest your money into is what you love. Your kid run up with a snotty nose, you don't love them. I love my baby. No, you don't. You hate your kid. I love my man. No, you don't. You hate him. You treat him like trash. I love getting money. No, you don't. You love being broke and being a victim. Because that's what you are every single day. And you're going to be that for the rest of your life. I never go broke because I don't love that. I never deal with a dusty chick because I don't love her. I'm just telling you. You got to love what you do. Content creation, comedy, corporate America, you got to immerse yourself in it. It's going to have to just be a part of who you are. And if that's not what you want, then go and get a regular job like everybody else. That's all I'm saying. I learned a lot looking at Kevin Hart and people like that. Anyways, let me go ahead and read some of these super chats, and then we're going to continue over with the show. Shout out to my dog, Mr. Lot, in the building. Only a few minutes before my next meeting, but the setup is insane. Shout out to Mr. Lot. I appreciate you. Rush King 19 says, I hopped on here thinking I was on the wrong stream, or that was you, or that you was playing a clip from a news channel. Congrats, AD, on leveling up. Listen, we are the news. We're not waiting on no Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or ABC or CBS. We're not waiting on Disney to come and say, hey, man, you want to work for us? No, we going to be the ones that say, hey, we want your anchor, we want your anchor, and we want your anchor, and we're going to create a whole new segment. I want who you got on your network. I want who these networks have on their net. I go through the networks and I'm identifying on-air talent. She probably underpaid and underappreciated. Let me take a flight over to New York and let me recruit her. I love the game. I love the game. I love the game. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Solomon Cannon says, your setup goes crazy 2025. Let me give a shout out to my girl, Chris. I am Chris. She is she dope. Go and look at her on my profile. Look at the studio setup and then follow her if you want to hire her. She's not cheap though. Messy Mathematician says the setup looks incredible. My only gripe is it's too far away from the camera, so I got used to being closer to the screen. There you go. we gonna accommodate everything, Massey. ABJ's wise and strong says, from the Jordan wall to the Versace robe to the graffiti background to the don't do coke in the bathroom sign to the corporate setup, the growth has been palpable, man. I'm not waiting no more inspiration. Shout out to you. Anton with the secret sauce again. Thank you, sir. And if y'all not a part of the bag chasers and the Patreon, y'all need to tap in. First time here, I'm digging your vibe. My love, my life, second to none is music. Never had the opportunity to go next level. Peace and success to you. Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate you. Black Beauty is in the building, says, ooh, AD, your new studio is fire. It's fire. Shout out to Double R Quake, says, preaching. Hardway Hurst is in the building, says, the growth is crazy. Bag chasers. 187 in the building says, bro, this setup is fire. I love how you innovating. I'm working on it. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. I want to get into Gavin Newsom. I'm going to approach this from a completely different angle. Y'all ready? Well, first, we got to give y'all an update on what's going on in these streets. Gavin Newsom is in California fighting wildfires, and he recently did an interview, but I want to bring y'all up to date on what's going on with the wildfires. Take a look.
And that is good to see, but this map shows where all the fires are burning across Los Angeles. The two big ones, they are still the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire. Firefighters are battling the flames from the air as they try to contain as much as possible before the wind kicks up again.
Yeah, there is concern now about the return of the Santa Ana winds as the search for the missing intensifies and the death toll has risen to 24 people. The head of a major private power company will join us live. His company is facing questions about its electrical equipment, possibly sparking some of the fires. We have team coverage all over the fire zones. Ginger is standing by with a red flag warning from the National Weather Service that is expected to last until Wednesday. And we start with Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman in Pacific Palisades. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, George. More than 8 million people in L.A. County are facing this critical fire risk today. The National Weather Service giving it that rare designation, a particularly dangerous situation, same as it was last week. And, you know, the firefighters who've been on the line here for a week are already exhausted, like the folks here at Fire Station 69 getting a little bit of shut-eye right now because they have been getting massive amounts of reinforcements in terms of personnel and equipment.
This morning, exhausted fire crews trying to snuff out remaining hotspots as officials are bracing for those Santa Ana wind gusts today, expected to reach 70 miles an hour.
That's crazy.
Over the weekend, the Palisades fire again flaring up, this time near Mandeville Canyon, the fire encroaching on Brentwood and Encino, triggering an unprecedented air assault. The largest blaze, the Palisades fire, scorching nearly 24,000 acres with only 13% containment. And that fire spinning up a fire NATO, and reinforcements pouring in for both Mexico and Canada, deploying fire crews and equipment, specifically those large air tankers, but FEMA saying there are limits to that air support.
We're also talking about a very small space from the air, and we got to make sure that those aircraft are safe. They can only put so much in the air at that one time.
This as authorities in LA County are now investigating the possible causes of the fire.
Hey babe, I need you to come out here right now. We have a very big problem. What?
Doorbell camera and cell phone video from Jeffrey and Cheryl Koo showing the frantic moments when they say they saw this small fire near their Altadena house at around 6:19 p.m. Tuesday.
Oh. At that time, that when we saw it, it was just at the base of the tower. And within minutes, it had spread.
The Koos racing outside, filming what they saw in those terrifying moments, and look closely beyond the tree line. That's a transmission tower.
What did it?
I'm not even really as concerned about how the fire started as I am about their inability to contain it. And the reason that is because a fire can start for any number of reasons. But if you're not prepared, which is one of the things that they've been holding Gavin Newsom accountable for, and Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, and all of these different mayors and stuff like that, and these legislative leaders, if they're unable to contain it, then that's a much, much bigger problem than we have on our hands. As a matter of fact, Gavin Newsom recently did an interview, right? And in that interview, he described what the goals were, how they were going to fight the fires, what the mindset was, and then what is going to be the objective going forward. Let's get into the interview specifically.
Governor Gavin Newsom, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good to be with you.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
6 different wildfires raging right now. Do you have the resources to combat all these fires at this hour?
Yeah, we got 14,000 people working the line right now. We doubled the National Guard. We have 1,680 out there helping on the logistics side. I was just with folks from Mexico, 73 folks will be relieving some of our hand crews. We've got 9 states that are now providing under this EMAC system support. So we've got the resources, but we have more important this. We have the winds that have changed, and that allows us to be more resourceful with existing resources, particularly the aerial resources.
What's the mission of the National Guard here in Southern California?
Combination of factors. We have the rattlesnake teams that are doing the line and working with the hand crew.
Let me tell you something. Y'all know why I called this stream Hollywood Actors? Do you want to know why I called this stream Hollywood Actors? It wasn't because of the upcoming videos that I'm about to show you guys with Mel Gibson and Dennis Quaid. It's because of Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. With the extra energy and the voice, and we're on top of things, and we got the rattlesnake team all on top of it. These are the biggest actors. It's not the ones that are losing their homes. It is the Gavin Newsoms. It is it's a sauce. It's just, we're exhausted, but we're on here. We're on it. I would encourage you guys to really be vigilant. And it's a lot going on, but we're here. We're here, guys. We're here. We're on it. Riddle me this, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm just observing, honestly. Riddle me this, ladies and gentlemen. I have seen no less than 30 impromptu 1, 2 minute, 15 minute, 10 minute, 30 minute interviews of Gavin Newsom over the last 7 days. No cap. I have seen no less than 30 interviews, 30 camera pitches from Gavin Newsom over the last 7 days, more than I ever have before. And y'all not seeing the play. You're not seeing the play. You're not seeing the play because you so focused on criticizing because you guys are conservative. But because you are conservative, you can't see the trees from the fire. You don't see the play. I'll show it to you in a minute. Don't worry about it. Let's get to it.
Crews, we have other logistics packages happening, and we saw our first MAFs, which are these folks that are doing retardant, which are military planes.
Thank you, Connie.
And the guards leading that operation. So it's a combination of all those factors. And of course, fundamentally, 600 plus, just focusing on looting and making sure there's law and order on the streets.
Well, there goes, I may as well acknowledge it. There goes another one of your choppers. How many aircraft?
Look at the scene. It's straight out of a Hollywood movie. Look at the scene. It's out of a Hollywood movie. Do you know the kind of resources you would have to gather to get this level of visibility for any kind of future presidential candidate? Do you know the type of resources and the amount of monies that you'd have to raise to put yourself in position to become president of the United States of America in 2028? Now, some people will say, but Anton, he's not running for president. We're criticizing him. We're holding him accountable. He's doing a bad job. You think so? You think so? So you think that the battle is won in the beginning. It's not. I'm going to show you what the play is. We'll get there.
Do you have deployed right now?
There are as many as the traffic control can handle. Aircraft resources are not an issue. We've got fixed wing up today. And then you saw last night, particularly over the last couple.
We don't even know what fixed wing is. We are C students here. Most of us. That's why it's called average. That means that the majority of us is somewhere in the middle. It's some room nines, it's some exceptions, and then it's the rest of us. All right? It's some regular everyday folk. What the heck is the wingman? What's the rattlesnake crew? You know, they do that to you when they trying to confuse you to make them seem more smart than they really are. And they don't talk to us like C students. They don't talk to us like little children. They say stuff all the time that is not in our best interest. They just be saying stuff because it sound good. They get themselves good camera work. They got the scene in the background of somebody's home burned. Got to make sure you got that good hair gel in there. Make it seem like you roll your sleeves up. We've been in here with the people. We're here, guys. We're here every day. Working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just doing interviews in between the work, though.
Days just battling the nighttime blazes. By the way, technology that didn't exist a few years ago. The state did not have the resource of these fire hawks that allowed night vision, 6 hours, night goggles. These guys laid down the lines in the Palisade, almost 500 million gallons to try to hold the line there on the ridge so it didn't come down into the canyon, the Bel Air area, and parts of Brentwood. So it's just remarkable, the heroism of these folks. It's remarkable, the mutual aid system. I mean, you meet folks from Oregon that are working with folks from Kern County that are working folks overseas that I've never met, and it's hand in glove. It's really inspiring.
In your opinion, is this or will it be the worst natural disaster in the history of the United States?
I think it will be in terms of just the costs associated with it, in terms of the scale and scope. Don't even remind the folks in California, we had the Tubbs fire, 5,600 houses were lost, and of course Camp Fire, we had 18,000.
Shout out to Jerry. I'm gonna read that super chat
housing units lost, and 85 people that lost their lives. Currently, we're getting confirmation from the coroner, so we always have to be careful on the death toll. But it's in the 13 range, and I've got search and rescue teams out. We've got cadaver dogs out, and there's likely to be a lot more.
What is your biggest concern over the course of the next 48 hours?
I think is making sure the life safety focus, the property focus is there. At the same time, we're addressing the perimeter issues. The challenge is the winds. We've got these winds coming back this evening, Sunday night. We've got peak winds on Monday. We're going to see 50+ mile an hour gusts, subject to change. So now
got these peak winds. They're gusting on the 50-mile-per-hour perimeter. We got cadaver dogs all over. The problem is the wind turbines are spinning out of control, but we're evaluating the velocity, and the winds are coming in from the south, moving up through the north, and it's creating some kind of tornado-like structure that just keeps the fires all in a spin. We're going for it, though.
we're pre-positioning assets.
Pre-positioning.
And we're pre-positioning them not just here in the theater, those existing 5+ fires, but now broadening that to a number of other counties and moving farther south with some of those resources in anticipation we could see some flare-ups and new places, new starts.
You're here with us on Meet the Press to announce a new executive order. What is this executive order? What are you hoping to accomplish?
Look, we've got to be thinking 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years ahead. At the same time,
three
we're
and
focusing
three.
on the immediacy, which is life safety and property. And so that's exactly what we're doing with disaster assistance, making sure people are getting their applications, addressing the issue of
We on a 3-3-3. We on a 3-3-3 plan, and we're 3 years, 3 months, 3 hectares out. We got to get ahead of this thing. We got to anticipate where this thing is going, and we got to be three steps ahead at all times. Okay.
fraud, and that's an issue we've got to address. Price gouging. So executive orders on price gouging, recovery. We want to get inspections, units like this. We want to get our inspection teams out here. They're already starting to get out here. We've come up with some timelines so we can get within the next few weeks all that done so people can get their insurance claims. We can then start the big contracts to remove the debris, to address all the hazmat issues. Same time as I got to button up the canyons here as it relates to potential flooding with a lot of atmospheric rivers. Remember, we're in the middle of winter. This is January. In fact, the day of this fire, not a stone's throw away, as the crow flies, there was snow right up the mountain.
Crazy.
Here, same day.
Crazy.
As this devastating fire here in Altadena. And so all those things have to happen concurrently. But here's the big thing. I'm worried about issues of rebuilding as it relates to scarcity, as it relates to property taxes, meaning scarcity of resources, materials, personnel. I'm worried about time to getting these projects done. And so we want to fast track by eliminating any CEQA requirements. I've got Coastal Act changes that we're making. I want to make sure when someone rebuilds that they have their old property tax assessments and that they're not increased. So all of that's been done in the executive order we just announced.
CEQA, Governor, and the Coastal Act are both environmental regulations. And if you're going to be suspending those temporarily, are you concerned about problems that may result from the suspension of those environmental regulations and a potential abuse by developers?
Yeah, we're not going to, and within this executive order, we frame those abuses. We basically bookmark that in the context of maintaining the existing footprints. On the Coastal Act, they allow just a 10% variant. So we're going to be very mindful of that. California leads the nation.
This guy is so animated. You got to love Gavin, right?
In environmental stewardship, I'm not going to give that up. But one thing I won't give into is delay. Delay is denial for people. Lives, traditions.
Word
places,
salad is strong with this one.
Apart, torn asunder, families, schools, community centers, churches, you've seen it. The number of schools that have been lost in this community, and we've got to let people know we have their back. We're going to be back. We're going to do it efficiently and effectively. Don't turn your back. Don't walk away because we want you to come back, rebuild, and rebuild with higher quality building standards, more modern standards.
Let me save you some time. Would you like for me to save you some time? I'll save you some time. Let's get to the thick of it, all right? Gavin Newsom then goes on to say that they're going to rebuild, and they got all of these different projects and things that's coming up for 2026, 7, 8, 9, 10, 30, 40, 50, and a 60. You know why? They got major events coming up. Huge, masterful strategies and planning that is in place to ensure that they can still put on, for example, the Olympics that is coming up. Yes, the Olympics is going to be here in less than 4 years. And they're fast tracking things. So before we get into our conspiracy theory bag and we start talking about how, well, you know, they are clearing land so that they can build all of these places and so on and so forth, I don't think that that's the master play for Gavin Newsom personally. We can talk about that with regard to systematically or corporate entities or, you know, who's going to benefit from this and that and so on and so forth. We can get that. We have plenty of time to explore that, and I plan to all week long. But here's the key. Amongst all of the chaos and all of the criticism from people like me and you that then say Gavin Newsom in particular is 100% doing things, they should have had things together. To repair an image, you need an opportunity to do so. You can't repair an image. You can't repair an image without problems. You can't make yourself a hero without having something to solve for. George Bush II had likability issues in his first term, issues where his approval rating was down significantly. And you know what really boosted things up prior to him wind up running for re-election? A war. A war. Towers. Planes. All kind of issues just came up. I'm telling you the truth. I want you to understand things, okay? Think about this for a second. Never had this much visibility in his entire life. Gavin Newsom has never had this much visibility in his entire life. For all of the criticism that he's getting now, he's not worried about that. I believe, and this is just a theory of mine, a C student's theory, I believe that Gavin Newsom, Batman right here, is looking for a long-term accolade in the form of your vote for President of the United States of America if he can fast-track things, rebuild, get things in position to where the Olympics wind up going off without a hitch. They recover, people get their homes back. They then get assistance from the federal government in helping them to rebuild. I believe that Gavin Newsom is planning and putting himself in position to be the hero long term. And that is the platform that he's ultimately going to run on in 2028 to become president of the United States of America. I believe if you are looking at this from a long-term perspective, that Gavin Newsom and company and whomever it is ultimately putting themselves and setting themselves up for long-term success. See, our problem is that we think so short-term. We thinking, oh, he doing wrong, or we don't necessarily care for him. His likability is now. He's not worried about the now. He worried about 4 years from now. He worried about putting himself in position, I believe, 4 years. What you think that his political career is supposed to be over because Kamala Harris possibly is running for governor of California in 2026? He not paying attention to no 2026. He paying attention to 2028. That's the play.
You? I mean, you're governor of California. You might as well be the mayor of California. We're all in this together. We're all better off, we're all better off, we're all better off, and we're working together to take care of people and to make sure people are supported, we're empathetic, and we're here not just in the immediacy of the crisis, but we're here after the crisis, as opposed to creating a crisis in the middle of this by trying to divide people and play political, take cheap political shots.
Do you have faith in Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass?
I have absolute faith in our community. I have faith in our leaders. I have the faith of our capacity to work together.
President-elect Trump has blamed you for this crisis. He called you incompetent. What's your response?
Well, I called for him to come out, take a look for himself. We want to do it in the spirit of an open hand, not a closed fist. He's the president-elect. I respect the office. We have a president of the United States that within 36 hours provided a major disaster declaration over a text. We had support from the president of the United States, Joe Biden, with 100% reimbursement, all the resources you could hope for or imagine, constant communication. I'd like to extend that to the president-elect. I don't know what he's referring to when he talks about the Delta smelt and reservoirs. The reservoirs are completely full, the state reservoirs here in Southern California. That mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us. Responding to Donald Trump's insults, we would spend another month. I'm very familiar with them. Every elected official that he disagrees with, very familiar with them.
We do know, though, from reporting here locally that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation, to understand what.
The school of Kamala Harris word salad is strong with this one. The dodging of accountability is strong with this one. Looks very presidential to me.
What's happening with that local reservoir that was not a state system reservoir, which the president-elect was referring to as it relates to the Delta and somehow connecting the Delta smelt to this fire, which is inexcusable because it's inaccurate, also incomprehensible to anyone that understands water policy in the state.
My understanding is that you have put a call into President-elect Trump. Has he called you back?
No, that was months ago. That was after his victory. So I look forward to him, again, coming out here in the spirit of cooperation.
Forgive me for interrupting you, but you did invite him to come out here. Have you had any response?
No.
Nothing. Multiple times, Mr. Trump has threatened to withhold aid for California wildfires, both as president and now again as president-elect. Are you worried that he might actually do that?
Well, I mean, he's done it in Utah, he's done it in Michigan, he did it in Puerto Rico. He did it to California back before I was even governor in 2018, until he found out folks in Orange County voted for him, and then he decided to give the money. So he's been at this for years and years and years. It transcends states, including, by the way, Georgia. He threatened similarly. So that's his style. And you know, we take it seriously to the extent that in the past, it's
Look
taken
at all
a
this
little bit more
animation.
time. I've been pretty expressive about that in context of someone threatening our first responders in terms of supporting the immediacy of their needs.
So that's what you take it as, that President-elect Trump is threatening the first responders here.
Well, I mean, it's what he said. He said, I'm not going to support the firefighting efforts. I'm not going to support the state of California as it relates to its emergency management. He made this pretty clear during the election, unless they do my bidding. And again, these are familiar terms, and they're familiar to a lot of other states, not just my state, and they're familiar to not just me as governor, but the previous governor of California, Governor Brown, that was battling with these same things. So you just work through these things, and I'm just blessed. I mean this. I'm blessed. On behalf of 40 million Americans that happen to live in California, that Joe Biden's president of the United States and did what he did immediately. And to the extent that we can work with the same relationship and that same spirit with Donald Trump, I hope we can.
I'm telling you that this guy is gearing up to run for president of the United States of America. I'm telling you that this guy is putting himself in position to run for president of the United States of America. If not him, who? Hakeem Jeffries, AOC, Kamala Harris again? Okay. Watch what I say. Watch what I say. Let me continue to read these super chats, and then we're going to continue on with the show. Shout out to my dog, Delta Fox, in the building. Delta Fox says, nice setup. You went from Anton in Detroit to Patrick David levels for your studio. Well, listen, if you want to compete, then you're going to have to make some adjustments. You know what I'm saying? Can't let them steal everything. This is why you a bag chaser. Number one, big bro, keep growing so we all can follow. Shout out to Cordius Contemplations. You know what's so funny about that, Delta Fox? You know what's so funny about that? Let me bring up that super chat again. I'm going to bring up that super chat one more time. Delta Fox says, nice setup. You went from Anton in Detroit to Patrick David levels for your studio. I will tell you this, Delta Fox, and this is the honest to God truth. I got invited to Patrick Bet David Studios over in Fort Lauderdale, And I had an opportunity to go through, meet a sales team, talk to the people, tour. And it's funny because they were trying to sell me on getting assistance and coaching and all of this other type of stuff with Patrick Bet-David and sales funnels and how it is that I can improve my business and all of that type of stuff. And it was a really, really, really cool tour. And it had great salespeople. And I got to see a lot. I got to see where he recorded. I got to see what his process was. I got to see who his building was, where his building was. I got to see everything. And so I went through there twice. I had an opportunity to go through there twice. They allowed for me to record and take pictures because I guess they thought that I was going to vlog or something, but I didn't. And I recorded and I took pictures because I wanted to understand exactly how they ran their studio. And I put it in my mental Rolodex. I put it in my, I stored it away. And then I went through and I started to visualize how I could do it better myself. When I went over to Dr. Phil, I didn't go to Dr. Phil because I cared about the show. I went to Dr. Phil because I wanted to learn exactly how he did his studio and his setup and how he set up his whole thing in Dallas and transitioned it over from Hollywood and California. I wanted to know everything. I need to know. I will go down there. You ain't even got to send me a flight. I'll fly down there myself. Let's figure it out. And the whole time I'm like, can you give me a tour of how you doing it over here? Can you give me a tour of how you doing it over there? I see how they got their camera set up, how they got the camera work, how they do things, how they run their boards, how many people it take. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, how can I simplify that process? How can I reinvest into it? And how can I bring this whole thing back to Detroit? So take that for what you want it to mean. I observe. I need to know. I need the information. Give me the information. I know what to do with it. Gavin is planting the seeds for his future. I agree. Shout out to Jerry Early says, thank you, Anton. Just get back to Los Angeles from Hawaii to check on my home and ashes everywhere. I live close to the ocean. The governor of California is piece of horse manure. I can't stand that guy. Shout out to Jerry Early. I appreciate you. Brandon Chapman then says, I got the super sticker for you. Thanking Brandon. I appreciate you. Kenya. What up, Kenya from Cali says, this is the perfect setup for Newsom's 2028 presidential bid. Shaking my head. Just go. Nichelle says, I just see Kamala all over again. I don't think that she's running for president of the United States of America again. Gavin is a joke. He has to go. We need to elect the right Republican in Cali. Chat for more says, good morning, AD. I like it. Loving the new look and camera angles. Can't wait to see future shows. Just caught up on the stream. Shout out to my dog, Chat for Morris. Gavin is a smooth criminal. Shout out to Badadan and them. Says, the way they lied and said the word earth is a sphere when we know the word actually means the ground we walk on. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. Jacques Quell says, greetings and blessings, brother AD and family and the bag light chasers. It seems that Gavin had taken a play out of Trump's playbook, even the tone. Tyrant of Tarrant says, Gavin is a snake oil salesman. Sadly, people are buying into this nonsense. Mr. Joe goes on to say that he's banking on Democrats having short-term memory. Despite this disaster, Democrats are going to vote for him. They're going to give Vance the Trump treatment. Anthony Boom says, Gavin reciting the campaign speech. Who buying this? Happy Girl is in the building, says, think about this. The entertainers' houses are probably insured by Lloyd's of London. It's the others that have regular insurers the entertainers can rebuild. Entertainers is broke. We're going to talk about that. Jacques Quell says, looking real crisp and sharp. AD studio is on 10. Martin Muhammad says, great insight, AD. He is not giving up no easy sound bites. Sade said, no need to ask. He's a smooth operator. Shout out to Mika. Mika says, good morning, AD. I love this new setup. Congrats and stay blessed. Shout out to my girl, Mika. I love Mika. Brother Cole says the studio is on fire, big bro. Great way to represent Black excellence. I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody that contributes into the platform. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Let's continue on with the show. All right. So speaking of opponents in 2028, JD Vance. JD Vance not only resigned from the Senate, but he's also criticizing Gavin Newsom and the fires. Y'all tell me if this is a setup. Y'all tell me if this is a setup for the 2028 presidential election. But first, let's go to J.D. Vance making his announcement that he's no longer going to be in the Senate, but he's now going to be Vice President of the United States of America, which we know the swearing-in ceremony is roughly 7 days from now.
Now, Vance resigned at midnight from the Senate effective today as he prepares to become vice president. And now it's up to Governor DeWine to appoint his replacement. Now, 10 TV political reporter Doug Petcash joins us live in studio now with an update on the governor's decision.
Well, Yolanda and Angela, Governor DeWine says he will have an announcement probably next week. And here's what I can tell you about what we've learned today. Vance sent a resignation letter to the governor yesterday saying he was resigning from the Senate effective today. DeWine attended a dinner with 21 other Republican governors last night hosted by President-elect Trump at Mar-a-Lago in Florida. In a clip from C-SPAN, a reporter asked DeWine about replacing Vance. Here's what the governor said.
We certainly have been working on this for some time, and I'll have an announcement probably next week. I'm looking for someone, first of all, who will be a worker in the U.S. Senate. I spent 12 years there. I think I have a pretty good idea what it takes to be successful. I want someone who understands Ohio, who has a deep knowledge of our state.
DeWine also said it has to be someone who is willing to run in 2026 in a special election and then again 2 years later when Vance's term would have been up. The governor did not get into who he is considering for the Senate seat. Lieutenant Governor.
So I'll keep you guys up to date on what's going on from that perspective. But J.D. Vance pulled up yesterday to talk about pardons, but more importantly, he also talked about California. Check it out.
I sat down for an exclusive interview with Vice President-elect J.D. Vance yesterday, his first since leaving the Senate officially. And we started by talking about the new administration's plans for handling disasters like the ones in California and recovery in the Carolinas. Well, welcome back to Fox News Sunday. Now, as Vice President-elect, congratulations.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about the fire situation in California because your administration will be coming in, taking over the reins as the feds are trying to meet that along with many other emergency situations they have going on. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, has written to President Trump saying, let's not be divisive right now. Come out and visit. Let people see us working together. Any indication the president-elect may do that?
Well, I know the president would love to visit California. And first of all, our hearts go out to everybody who's been affected by the storms. I've seen some of these videos of people where, folks have lived in those homes for 25, 30, 35 years and everything is gone. And whatever your political affiliation, it's hard not to see those images and just be heartbroken for our fellow Americans who are going through a very tough time. And I do think, frankly, the federal government has to do a better job. President Trump is committed to doing a better job when it comes to disaster relief. That's true for the hurricane victims and flood victims in North Carolina. It's true for the fire victims in California. We have to do a better job. We need competent, good governance. Now, that doesn't mean you can't criticize the governor of California for, I think, some very bad decisions over a very long period of time. I mean, some of these reservoirs have been dry for 15, 20 years. The fire hydrants are being reported as going dry while the firefighters are trying to put out these fires. There is a serious lack of competent governance in California, and I think it's part of the reason why these fires have gotten so bad. We need to do a better job at both the state and federal level.
So, J.D. Vance is absolutely right, but I also believe that he's setting the stage and making sure that he put people in their place. Gavin Newsom, who the Republican Party is probably anticipating him run for president in 2028. It's just the facts. I believe so. And so not only is J.D. Vance not going to miss an opportunity to hold him accountable, which he should, because they have been completely incompetent. They have not done a good job with regard to managing this whole situation. They didn't do a good job with managing the budget in California. And see, that's the part that people are missing in this whole conversation. People are missing that part in this conversation, and that they're not really understanding that this is a way for them, in my opinion, over in California. This is a way for the government over in California to scapegoat themselves out of being accountable for the fact that they were already operating at a budget deficit, as well as over in Los Angeles. Whenever you see a natural disaster or something catastrophic happens anywhere, It's an opportunity for the taxpayers to then bail them out from their own bad decisions that they were making prior to this natural disaster happening. This is bad for the people over in California and Los Angeles and the Palisades and all of these places. But this is great for the government in California. You're not hearing me. Y'all don't want to hear me. This is absolutely, positively devastating for all of the people that are coming home and realizing that they didn't have fire insurance or they lost all of their stuff and all of these things. But it's absolutely exciting, especially considering that California was operating at a budget deficit in the billions. They were facing a budget deficit in the billions. And Los Angeles was cutting the budget because they had mismanaged funds. And so when you see a natural disaster happen, often at times, what it does is it presents them an opportunity to make themselves look good to the general public, to divert attention away from the thing that they were doing bad, and at the same time shore up their budget with federal tax dollars. And so you and I will now be on the hook for making sure that they're taken care of in the name of helping people and fixing this economy and doing things. And we need to divert funds away from Ukraine, even though they just got another $500 million on their way out the door. We need to make sure that we fix California and go and meet the requirements of what's going on. And where's FEMA? And we got to do more for them. We got to make sure that we partner with the federal government, because this is something that was out of everybody's hands.
Reason why these fires have gotten so bad. We need to do a better job at both the state and federal level.
So there are skeptics who worry about what the administration will do when it comes to handing out aid to California. They're citing back to something that the president-elect said in September when he said we won't give him money to put out all his fires. And if we don't give him the money to put out his fires, he's got problems. Is there any consideration of withholding aid to Californians?
No, look, President Trump cares about all Americans, right? He is the president for all Americans.
Thank you, everybody.
And I think that he intends to have FEMA and other federal responses much, much better and much more clued into what's going on there on the ground. You know, President Biden has been asleep at the wheel for a number of different crises. And I think this final California fire, as it's really getting out of control in Biden's last week and a half, I do think it drives home just, again, we've had incompetent governance for so long. You know, President Trump often says that the coalition that made him the president was just a common sense coalition. There were conservatives, there were moderates, there were even a few liberals. But the thing that united us is just this basic idea that, yes, government should be smaller, but when government does the things that it should do, it ought to do them well. And that's one of the things that President Trump and I are going to fight to get back to.
And it's amazing. It's funny because nobody sees the play until the play is already in their face. Nobody sees the play until the play is in their face. If you don't see the play, I'm explaining it to you. It's not about whether or not they were incompetent or mismanaged. Who's focused on homelessness, for example, right now? The big headline was budget deficit, broke, homelessness, incompetence, unaffordability, housing crisis, regulation, doo-doo on the streets of California. Who is focused on any of those things in California right now? You know what the message is? You know what Democrats are saying? You know what they feeding to the people? Hey, look, if you don't think that Gavin Newsom, when he gets up in the morning and he makes sure that he puts his hair gel on and he shaves his face and so that he can present himself to the general public, if you don't think that the play is ultimately, or that he's thinking in his mind, or that he's tapping in with all of his assistants and his whatever it is, the people that surround him, his cabinet, his aides, or whoever it is that surround him, if you don't think that at the end of the day or at the beginning of the morning, they say, hey, all right, so what do we have to do? We do have to take care of this. This is what's happening with the firefighters. This is what's happening with the fires and all of this stuff. Oh, and before we leave, let's have a conversation about how we can present ourselves and who we need to meet with the press, and what's the message that we're trying to send, and how do we make sure that we put ourselves in this position, in the best position possible, and paint ourselves in the best light. If you don't think that that's the conversation that's being had, you crazy. You're crazy. You're out of your mind. Now they get to divert away from all of the things that we were holding Californians accountable for, and they get to focus on, hey, listen, we not worried about that right now. Our goal is to save lives. Our goal is to mitigate the fire. Our goal is to rebuild. Listen, if they have any semblance of success when it comes to stopping this fire, rebuilding efforts, and then making themselves look good and setting themselves up for the Olympics and all of these other events, I guarantee you that that will be the conversation, not all of the other stuff that happened before it. They're not going to be talking with the homelessness crisis and with the homelessness rates and $165, $180 million that they spent on homelessness and the $28 billion that just so happened to go missing that they were dedicating to homelessness, because nobody is going to be talking about it. Everybody is going to be talking about fires. Everybody going to be distracted with celebrities. It's going to be another scandal somewhere, and then they're going to all be focused on whether or not we were successful and we came out of this together, because that was a time that was unprecedented. This was the worst time in history when it came to fires over in California. And it's our job. It's our job as people that pay attention to remind them, to remind you, to remind the general public the same way that we did during the last election, and we didn't forget over the last 3 years what they were doing. See, they thought that you were going to be distracted and they wasn't going to have to be accountable for all of the things that happened for the entirety of their presidency, of that cabinet being in place. We went back to 2021 and we said, hey, man, you was the border czar. They thought we forgot, and they said, oh, no. We wasn't the border czar. That was just an unofficial title. No, you was. Yes, you were. Yes, you were. And we're going to do the same thing to Gavin Newsom. We're going to do the same thing to all of these people. We're going to hold them accountable. I'm going to make sure of it. As long as I have breath in my body, you are going to have to be accountable for the things that you did while you were in office. And all of the money that went missing, and all of the homelessness crisis, and all of the things that you wasn't successful at. And we not just going to pay attention to what happened in the last 2 years that you was in office.
It ought to do them well, and that's one of the things that President Trump and I are going to fight to get back to.
So President Biden is doing what he can on his way out the door on a number of issues, and critics would say some of those appear to be aimed at blunting what you all might have planned. Let's talk first about immigration. Politico has this headline: Biden extends temporary status of nearly 1 million migrants ahead of Trump deportations. It says the move allows people from...
This is anything but a peaceful transition. This is anything but a peaceful transition. It hasn't been. It's probably the worst transition from administration to administration that we've ever seen in our lifetime.
Certain countries who currently have temporary protected status, or TPS, to renew work permits and deportation protections, extending the program for El Salvador until March 2026 and Sudan, Ukraine, and Venezuela until October of 26. How does President Trump plan to handle these last-minute things, and what are his own executive actions planned, especially with regard to the border on day one?
Yeah, so Shannon, if you step back a little bit, I do think it's important to reiterate that not just on the border, but on a whole host of issues, President Biden has left us an absolute dumpster fire. Now, we're excited to get to work, but we need to be open and honest about the fact that President Biden has not left the next administration in a good place, right? FEMA's funds are depleted. We have a wide open southern border. Oil is going through the roof. Bond yields went from 4.1% to 4.8% in a month. And that's on top of the fact that President Biden has been running the largest peacetime deficits in the history of this country. So we've got a lot of debt, a lot of problems, and a wide open southern border. And thank God that Donald Trump takes office in a week and a half, because we need somebody to actually govern this country effectively. Now, on the border crisis in particular, the most important thing that we have to do is to send a message that America is closed to illegal immigration. For the past 4 years, we have been wide open, and you're going to see, I think, dozens of executive orders coming from the Trump administration, coming from us on day one, that send a message to Customs and Border Patrol: you guys are allowed to do your job again, and to illegal immigrants all over the world: you are not welcome into this country illegally. If you want to come through, you've got to come through proper channels.
What about the critics who are humanitarian activists?
I think that's pretty straightforward. Let me go ahead and read some of these super chats, and then we're going to go on with the show. Let's see what we got here. Courtney. Shout out to Courtney. Courtney then says, what does Courtney say? I'm going to keep it a buck with you, AD. A milestone I'm working towards: no handouts. is being able to see your full day operation in real time in real life, just like you did with Patrick Bet-David. Shout out to you, Courtney. I appreciate you. K Studios, Wedding Portraits and Lifestyle says, shout out to you, Anton. Amazing setup. I will always be a bag chaser. Looking forward to always learning from you and growing. Would love to meet you in person if you're still coming to DC. I don't know if I got the capacity to meet you during the inauguration. Honestly, to be honest with y'all, I'm going to say that for the night. We'll talk about it on the Q Show tonight. Shout out to y'all. Common Man 80 is in the building. Shout out to Common Man 80. Says, oh, man, Anton, are you telling me you have to be dressed? Now I have to be dressed for breakfast? We got to put the uniform on, baby. Yo, shout out to you. Me University is in the building. Says, Anton, the black suit and white shirt, sir? No, sir. You know better. Can't speak out. And that, prayers up. Tasha Tiger. What up, Tasha? Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi have ruined this state. I live in Oakland. He's great at actor. He's a great actor. In his own mind, we see clearly. You got to tell the rest of the state to vote a certain way then, baby girl. Mark the Guardian says Cali will flip red once people understand the permit red tape Cali has to rebuild. Many may not be able to start rebuilding until a year from now. Shout out to Mark the Guardian. I appreciate y'all. We got the Q Show tonight. Also, on top of that, make sure you guys tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order, plus 20% off of life. Get clean. Get clean, all right? Let's deep dive, all right? I want to get into Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson had some life criticisms or some life experiences, criticisms, and also some things that he wants to communicate. Hey, why is Mel Gibson not showing up? See, this is why we got to have some make some adjustments. And some criticisms for the current administration in California, as well as experiencing and sharing with you guys how his house burned up. Check it out.
Joining us now, actor and Academy Award-winning director Mel Gibson, an old friend, a Malibu resident who tragically just lost his home to the Palisades fire. Mel, I was thinking about you when I saw this fire break out. I think I talked to Raymond. I said, is Mel okay? Is his family okay? I instantly thought of you. He said he thought you were okay. And I'm glad you got out. I'm glad your family is safe. But tell us what it was like to be on Rogan's podcast when I guess you learned that your home had been lost.
That's crazy.
I didn't learn it was lost. I knew the neighborhood was on fire, then I was in the path. So I was a little tense while I talked to Joe, but he's a guy that can put you at your ease fairly well. So I was doing okay. And I knew that my family was safe and out of harm's way.
Were you able to?
That's pretty crazy to be doing a Joe Rogan podcast and your home is about to catch on fire. And you still got to maintain frame because not only do you have a movie coming out, but you're trying to communicate with the people.
To get possessions that, of course, are really immaterial when you have your family. But I've been to your house. It was an incredible home, beautiful home. But were you able to get anything out of your house?
That looked crazy, bro.
Not much. A few necessary things. You know, my son I said, just go and grab this and this and this. And he grabbed like 3 things and took off. And then... you know, those are okay. Stuff like passports and a couple of papers and stuff like that. But by and large, everything was just, it looked, when I got there the other day, I went up there yesterday, it looked like Dresden, you know, after Bomber Harris got through with it. Yeah.
Mel,
so nothing left.
For those of us watching this from afar, try to convey to us the feeling of seeing your home, your neighbors' homes, and the community there at such a loss.
I mean, it's tragic. It makes you really sad. I was actually, you know, there are neighbors I have that I was actually looking at them. I felt worse for them than I did for myself. You know, I look at it as a strange mixture of sadness and almost kind of an elation in a sense that I count my blessings, you know, no matter what. These are things, and they may or may not be replaceable, but they're only things, and we're still here, and I just kind of look at it as almost in a weird kind of way a purification of, but Of course, it's very sad. And there were many things, gone in the blaze that, I've thought about since. I thought, oh, damn, that's too bad. But, works of art, photographs, rare books, old books. Some as old as, 1600, it's like crazy.
A lot of people like to discount it and say, well, no, Mel got money, or this person got money and this person got money. I was looking at a social media post yesterday where a woman, that is a famous woman, and she was going over and saying that everybody that had a home that burned down over in California, even if it was $1 million or a multi-million-dollar home, didn't or doesn't necessarily have the money to rebuild. She gave an example. She said her neighbor was like 80 something or 90 or whatever, and she bought her lot a long time ago because she'd been living there her entire life, I guess in her early 20s or something like that, for like $15,000. And she said that the lady told her that she had a choice between her lot or, the actual neighbor's lot or the famous woman's lot back in the day for $15,000 or $20,000. She went with the $15,000 one because that was a lot of money at the time. And more importantly, she had anticipated living there forever. And she said that over the years, obviously, that lot has appreciated, or her home that she built on that lot has appreciated to over $1 million, but that's an unrealized value. Meaning that the value of that home is only based off of what the assessed value is that they pay in property taxes. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get that money back. You see what I'm saying? So essentially, all she has is still that lot. Everybody that lives in California is not rich. And this is the thing that I try to even explain to people from a financial perspective, is that the value in something, or your net worth, which fluctuates based off of whatever your investments are, goes up and down, but it's assessed based off of your liabilities taken out of your assets. And if your assets aren't worth anything, then what good is it? What good is it to have this home that is $1 million that you can't get any value out of it? The only gain that you get out of it is if you then use it or leverage it, or in some way, shape, or form at some point in your life, sell it or get the gain out of it, which you then are going to have to pay taxes out of it. But just because people had multi-million-dollar properties, everybody wasn't necessarily rich. Some of these people's entire net worth was tied into their homes. Mel Gibson is probably one of the fortunate ones because he's probably one of the people that have, a lot of money or a lot of resources or whatever. And I tell people also on this front, being a millionaire is not the same for everybody. And that's why, I want to get into his criticisms of the government and stuff like that. But let me break it down to you from this lens, all right? Being a millionaire, for example, is different in that there's people that make $1 million a year or more. And then there's people that have a net worth of $1 million or more. There's people that have a $5 million net worth that make $1 million a year. And there's people that have a $5 million net worth that make $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year. And I'm telling you that it's different between the two, because if you are there's a whole lot of millionaires, but there's very few people that make $1 million a year or more. It's a whole lot of millionaires because that's your net worth. But there's very few people that make $1 million or more. Meaning that your lifestyle is going to be much different as a millionaire whose home is worth $2 or $3 million over a period of time, and then you got a 401k that you can't draw off of until you're 67 and a half, and then you got your pension, and then you got your cars, and you got a couple heirlooms and all of this other type of stuff, but you make $80,000, $90,000 a year. You may not outlive your money. You may be comfortable in your retirement. You may be doing okay, but you cannot live the same lifestyle as a person that may have the same net worth as you, but that generates way more income. And that's the difference. Mel Gibson is probably going to make $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10, $20, $30 million a movie, depending on what the performance of it is. That's much different than his neighbor that may have a house that's similarly valued as him, but don't generate the same type of income. But people automatically group everybody that lives in a particular area because they may have a big house in the same category, and it's not the same. It's not the same. You may live in the same neighborhood, but you ain't the same. You may have a home over your head, but it's not the same. You see what I'm saying? I want people to just look at the context of what's being communicated and not just look at the neighborhood or the home that burned down and just automatically assuming that everybody can rebuild. Everybody can't rebuild.
Replaceable.
And irreplaceable stuff. Yeah. So
thank you, Clem.
It is what it is, I guess. It was only a month ago that the flames threatened us, 200 meters away on the other side. And of course the wind shifted and it came in and whipped and got us from the other direction. So it was an interesting.
You've heard the.
Go on.
You've heard a lot of people say a lot of things about these fires. Obviously, the winds were horrific, but they were predicted. I know you know that last weekend, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they said this could be tragic with these winds if any fire starts.
Sure.
Do you believe in what you know so far, anything could have happened like this?
Yeah, well, one always suspects that this might happen, but one thinks that the resources, and the capabilities of the men and women will be on standby, that they'll be able to cope with any situation that comes up. But apparently, some people were asleep on the job, mainly our leaders there. But,
thank you,
that's
Miss.
something they have to live with.
Miss M. Ellis,
but that's something
I
the
appreciate
community
you.
has to
Everybody.
live with, and it's really sad. I mean, I have many friends that are, looking for a place to put a roof over their heads, and kids, and they're traumatized. Someone should answer for it, but we'll see. I think we know who the culprits are. In fact, my son he's a member of the volunteer fire brigade. He sort of interfaces between LA County Fire and people, and they assist them where they can during, before, and after the blaze. And apparently the residents in Corral Canyon caught an arsonist up there. And the guy was all tooled up with fire gear and equipment and stuff like that and ready to go. And he had been lighting fires. But they corralled the guy in Corral Canyon and gave him to the police. So.
Yeah, apparently
there are people actively going around looking for these conditions. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently, Mel, that individual was never charged. It's a very confusing set of facts because apparently he was reportedly trying to light things on fire, but it's not the fires, I guess, that they. I mean, it all seems very bizarre. But they have not ruled out that arson could have started the first fire. There's obviously still investigating this, and at the same time, Mel, there are numerous complaints, as you alluded to, that the fire hydrants did not have water or water pressure, and the LA fire chief herself reacted. Watch this.
My stance on this is when a firefighter comes up to a hydrant, we expect there's going to be water. We don't control the water supply. Our firefighters are there to protect lives and property and to make sure that we're properly trained and equipped. That's my position on this. So if there's no water, I don't know how the water gets to the hydrants.
Mel, reaction to
that? Well, I know they were messing with the water, letting reserves go for one reason or another. They've been doing that a while. California has a lot of problems that sort of baffle the mind as far as why they do things. And then in the events like this, you sort of look, well, is it on purpose? Which it's an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be? I don't know.
Is it on purpose? Is it on purpose? Is it all an act? Is everything that we hear today really intentional? Or do we all see these acts of God and these natural disasters and whether or not it's intentional? I think that a lot of this stuff is intentional. It's unfortunate that we're going through this. And I think that there's people that suffer as a result of it. I don't put anything past the federal government and what they talking about and how things are playing out. Let me go ahead and read a couple of these super chats. I think I missed a couple, but let me go ahead and read a couple of the super chats. And then we're going to continue on with the show. All right. Mr. Robinson, shout out to Mr. Robinson. Mr. Robinson says, AD Tom Ford, wood perfume cologne will go great with your attire in studio. It's not loud, it's smooth, masculine, and it screams money like you. Shout out to you. I appreciate you, Mr. Robinson. Nasty Stu says, the California cops let the fire starters go because they couldn't find evidence they were starting fires. You got to be kidding me. No way. No way. Are y'all serious about that? Seriously? Anyways, make sure y'all continue to hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Y'all said, who ain't got no bottom zone? I got a bottom zone. Thank you, Q. I appreciate you. Let's go over to the next portion of the show. I appreciate everybody that continues to tune in and tap in. Let me get over to this real quick. Dennis Quaid, another celebrity, was caught evacuating his home in anticipation of things going bad. Check it out. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
The college not too long ago. Do you have a new location, and you're with someone?
I'm going to walk with you if that's okay. What you are looking at is a resident and a familiar face who is, like so many thousands of people right now, trying to get everything out of their home and trying to clear everything out. This is Academy Award nominated actor and one of my favorites, and just a terrific man all the way around. This is Dennis Quaid.
Hey, how are you?
Dennis, say hi to NBC.
Hello, everybody. Los Angeles.
You got the Quaid smile still working on.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do?
Well,
right?
Tell me, what is it? First of all, what is exactly going on here? What are you doing?
You know, Tuesday, we woke up to this big plume of smoke, and then that was a real exciting day. As far as here, and Palisades went up, and Wednesday it came within 150 yards of the house, and these guys with their planes came down and put that retardant down there, and those helicopter pilots they're incredible what they do. And I can't say enough about the firefighters and the first responders in this town. We got some good ones, just good people here, and we're fighting as hard as we can to save our city. Gosh, I never thought I'd say that, but that's what's going on.
When you were forced to get out, how quick was it for Dennis Quaid?
Well, we were, we were on the very edge of the first evacuation zone, which, that was the Palisades fire. And so we've had it lucky. I have so many friends who've lost. My agent, he lost both of his houses. And another good friend over the Palisades, he just moved into a house and he was renting the other one, and he lost both of them.
Let me tell you something. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what type of money that you're getting. I don't care if it's just your only home. That hurts. And the amount of or lack of compassion for people that lose their residences or lose their homes is crazy to me. I don't want to see stuff that people work for or homes that people work for in any capacity. And I don't care. Like, I be hearing people, and I see people online, and they be saying, oh, well, they could just rebuild. Oh, they could just do this. Oh, they could just do that. What are you talking about? They could just rebuild. Bro, that's my crib. I worked hard at it. I think that there's an undercurrent. There's an undercurrent of jealousy, and people are excited for other people to lose their homes a lot of times. A lot of times people are angry at their own circumstances. And so they say, oh, well, you rich. Oh, you got 2 homes. Oh, well, you shouldn't do. Nobody deserves to get their home burned down. That's crazy. Nobody deserves to get their homes burned down. Some of these people is just regular everyday folks. Some people is just trying to figure it out and make it, to be honest with you. And just because people had money in the past, it don't always mean that you got money now.
I mean, what do you do? I mean, just to rebuild. you start to think about how long it takes to put a house together, and then you can't really hold it in your mind. I think that's a thing that kind of keeps us sane a little bit. It's kind of a blessing to not have to think about all of that stuff.
So you took off, right?
Yeah.
Explain to me what's going on, right?
Well, I came back. I was at the house. I got my wife and kids to the hotel and stuff, and I came back just in case, had shut off the gas and all those little things you don't think of, and just thought maybe I can be there and put a hose on a roof if the embers start coming over, at least something like that, or help out the neighbors. And so I was there till dark on Wednesday, and I thought we were through it, because they stopped it right then and there, and the winds died down. But hopefully tomorrow they'll have this thing laid down enough that it, because if it takes out Mandeville, it could take out Brentwood. It just come roaring down here.
To get your
And you know what the worst part about this whole situation is that, let's say hypothetically, for the sake of conversation, that they completely put out all of the fires, which they haven't, and it's still raging, and it's not contained, and people are still worried, and there's people all over, and I hear people all the time saying, I remember when this first started, a little over a week ago, and people were like, oh, that's just a small area outside of LA. That's just the Palisades. That's just this. That's just that. Now people is out here like, wait a minute. Hold on. It's spreading. Where's the reservoir? Where's the water? Where's Trump? Where Biden? Where everybody at? Hey, hold on. I seen y'all get your homes burned down. I don't really know about this though. At first, it's just a thing. And then next thing you know, oh man, what the heck is going on? Oh, wait a minute. It didn't burn down 10,000 structures. That Chase Bank that I used to go to, it ain't there no more. It's all cool until it hits you, right? And the worst part about this is that, guess what? Later on this year, there will probably be another wildfire. And then next year, it's going to be another wildfire. And more insurance companies are going to see what they did smart this year, and then they're going to pull out next year. And they're not going to write no new policies, and they getting the heck up out of there. And the only states that they're going to insure is the Midwest states. If you live in California, we're going to give you a pass for before 2025. Going forward in 2025, if you live in California, that's almost like building your house near the water, where you have a lot of erosion. Eventually, your house is going to fall off a cliff and it's going to be in the ocean somewhere. If you are going to live in California, and I know some of y'all are smarter than the rest of us, and you're going to say, wait a minute, Anton, but I live in the upper part of California, and San Diego was fine, and this place is okay, but I'm over in Oakland and all of that. If you live in California, just know that you are taking a calculated risk, and we're going to remove all of the excuses, and we're not going to sit here and say it's okay and it's not okay and all of that. We removing all excuses. So now it's on you. You're making an informed decision. Don't get mad because the insurance companies warned you. They say, listen, we out of here. We not rocking in California no more. We moving out of here. We moving out of that. Somebody said, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the places where we have too much information. It's unfortunate I got it. We have too much information, okay? We know too much. We know that it's possibly going to be an earthquake eventually. We know that forest fires go off in California and in different parts around the area all the time. You know that if you live over in Florida, it's a possibility for you to get caught with a hurricane. You know this. Don't sit there and get mad at the federal government. Don't sit there and get mad at us because we ain't going to have no sympathy for you going forward. Anything that you do and anywhere that you build, you are now making an informed decision to live in a place that is possibly catastrophic, and a big natural disaster can come through and wipe everything out. I don't understand why people are still living in California. You got incompetent leaders. You got natural disasters waiting on you. Mudslides, earthquakes, wildfires, Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass. I don't know why you got blue cities, Skid Row, the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard. LeBron James. Anyways, let me continue on. See if Dennis Quaid got anything else to add into this conversation.
Your head around that when you're hearing this in January, a fire that's already taken out the Palisades.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? You know, we've all had a
We would
really
have thought.
big
We
lesson.
thought it. We knew it was.
What is it?
Insurance companies told y'all that it was
our
happening.
experience of reality can change in a moment. You know, and that's something that we just have to let God handle. That's
No, God ain't got nothing to do with our bad decisions.
You know, I think there's a spiritual awakening on the other side of this, because it's going to make us all a little wiser and more compassionate.
You know, you brought up something about, you know, we've talked a lot of the people in the entertainment business.
I'm seeing a lot of entertainers talk about spirituality lately. I just seen Mel Gibson talk about it. We know he did The Passion of the Christ. I'm seeing Dennis Quaid talk about it. I seen one lady that was she a scissor kicker. She like girls. She a celebrity, and she was talking about the spirituality part of it. I wonder why all of these entertainers are talking about the spiritual side of it.
Live in this area, agents and directors and actors such as yourself. There will be a moment, Dennis, where Hollywood is going to need to respond, to rebuild this area and to come together. This is going to be,
Thank you, Courtney,
a clarion call for you and for your community, for Hollywood to step up.
Well,
and are you confident that will happen?
For Hollywood and all the businesses, the dry cleaners, the grocery
No, I think Diddy's
stores,
house was burned down, if I'm not mistaken.
You know, the gardeners that work in this area, all the construction workers.
Y'all said she a what? A scissor kicker. Y'all don't know what a scissor kicker is? Y'all don't know what a scissor kicker is? When two girls and turn into scissors like that. They said, Anton, you put on the suit, you changed the whole studio, but you still the same old Anton. Let me read some of these super chats. We gonna continue on with the show. All right. Let's see what we got here. Shout out to Smooth Artist. Smooth Artist says, please tell us how you got a studio like that for real. I hired a girl, and she came in and she did some awesome things, and she spent 6 weeks taking care of business, and now we on top of it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Smooth Artist. I appreciate you. Jerome Gray says, why don't you hold accountable the news stations accusing all the back home owners of being looters? Why don't you do it? I don't care nothing about what other news stations is doing on my own news station. Jay Hunter Lee says, brother AD, look at you, man. This looks good on you, bro. I was wondering why you were on camera bleeding. It's because you are sharp. I like that. That was a good one. Purple Haze just said, AD, have you heard of the billionaire couple, the Resnicks, who own a large percentage of Cali's water supply? It would be an interesting story to look into. Yes, I have heard about it. I've heard about it. I've heard about the Resnicks. Yeah, I know about it. I'm gonna reserve my opinion for now because I know everybody is upset about everything. Tariq Nasheed reacted to your show last night. Shout out to him. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed. Drew says many will not be rebuilding because of the burned toxins added to their neighborhoods. This is why Maui isn't being rebuilt as fast. I got my own theories as to why Maui ain't being rebuilt as fast. Katara C says, hi, what are your car insurance observations? What are your car insurance observations? I don't really have any right now. I think that all I know is the states that got the highest car insurance. I believe it's California, Florida, and Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I don't have any really car insurance observations right now. But thank you to everybody that continues into the platform. I want to pivot for a minute, and I want to go over to something a little different, okay? I want to pivot. I want to talk about, how do you pronounce his name? Is it Djimon Housou? You know, I have a problem, and let me tell you what my problem is. The problem is that y'all keep telling me that the D is silent, or the G is silent, or the J is silent in Jesus, and I call him Jesus, or the J is silent in Jorge, and I call him George. Is it Djimon Housou, or is it Djimon Housou? Oh. Y'all say y'all calling it Digimon? Djimon? Is Djimon? DJ? See, y'all don't even know. Some people are saying that the D is silent, and some people saying it's Digimon. Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know. I'm just going to call him Mr. Housou. Mr. Housou. That's how he talks in the movies. That's how he talks in the movies. Because eventually, you'll have to come. You'll have to fish the king. Yes, you'll have to fish the king. That's how he talks in the movies. That's exactly how. Y'all want me to call him Digimon, or you want me to call him Djimon, or you want me to call him Mr. Housou? Mr. Housou, give us free. Give us free. I'm going to call him Mr. Housou, because that's the way that he talks. And when you come to meet the king, you have to make sure that you are 100% cleansed, or he will cleanse you. Okay? Anyways, it's Djimon, the D is silent. All right, cool. Well, anyways, regardless, he said that he's been working in Hollywood for over 30 years and he's still broke. That's the thing that we need to evaluate, all right?
How has Hollywood changed in terms of African representation in what you see since you started out to what's being produced now?
Yes, quite a bit has changed.
I told you he talks
I must
like this.
say.
Oh, yes, quite a bit has changed. He talks just like that. Talk just like it.
Because, of course, when I came out with Amistad, I was nominated for a Golden Globe, but they ignored me for the Oscars, talking about the fact that they thought that I had just came off the boat and off the streets.
Ah! He said that they thought that he had just came off the boat and off the streets. That's a wild thing right there.
Where Steven Spielberg, used me for this film, and even though I successfully did that, they just didn't feel like I was an actor for whom we should pay any respect to. So this conceptual idea of diversity and all that, it still has a long way to go. Systemic racism don't change like that anytime soon. I mean, I'm still struggling trying to make a living.
After 30 years in this business?
After, let's speak, 30 years, let's say like maybe the first 10 years was really trying to, sort of acclimate myself to the industry.
And then establish yourself.
And establish myself. I'm
gonna replay this whole thing over again because this is not a long clip, so I want y'all to catch the whole thing. I'm gonna replay it. He said that as an actor, I'm gonna summarize it for you guys. As an actor, diversity, equity, and inclusion, or diversity, he said diversity, but I'm going to just throw the equity and inclusion. DEI has a long way to go in Hollywood and is systematically racist that he's not making the money that he feels that he should make, which now I'm sure everybody is saying, Tyler Perry, swoop on in and pay him what he's worth. Tyler Perry is the savior of black people in Hollywood. I'm going to just tell you that. Everybody is looking for Tyler Perry to save black people in Hollywood, all right? He says that after 30 years in the business, first 10 years, he was getting acclimated. He was getting into the industry. He was getting into the game. And after 30 years, he's still struggling financially, all right? I'm going to play it over again from the beginning because I want y'all to get the whole thing and I want y'all to understand it.
Hollywood changed in terms of African representation in what you see since you started out to what's being produced now?
Yes, quite a bit has changed. I must say, because of course, when I came out with Amistad, I was nominated for a Golden Globe, but they ignored me for the Oscars, talking about the fact that they thought that I had just came off the boat and off the streets, where Steven Spielberg, used me for this film, and even though I successfully did that, they just didn't feel like I was an actor for whom we should pay any respect to. So this conceptual idea of diversity,
Chris James, you funny.
It still has a long way to go. Systemic racism don't change like that anytime soon. I mean, I'm still struggling trying to make a living.
Systemic racism because you are struggling to make a living. Okay, let's continue.
After 30 years in this business.
After, let's speak, 30 years, let's say like maybe the first 10 years was really trying to, sort of acclimate myself to the industry.
And then establish yourself.
Y'all said that they pay him with food.
I've been in this business and making films now over 2 decades and still, with 2 Oscar nominations, been in many big blockbuster films, and yet I'm still struggling financially to make a living. I'm definitely underpaid.
Growing up, you're one of the first big black actors I saw in big budget films, so it's mind-boggling to me.
Well, that's a sign for you that systemic racism is not something that you can deal with lightly. It's so deep inserted in so many things that we do across the board, and you don't overcome it. You just have to you have to cope with it and survive the best way you can.
What do you hope your legacy will be in this industry, for your acting, for your philanthropy?
I came to California with this compelling need to do something for my continent and do something for my people in general, and to champion this idea of reconciliation and reconnection with the motherland. I just hope that I have contributed to change.
All right, so let's deal with the elephant in the room, okay? Let's address his concern. He says he's been 30 years in the game and systematically racist because he's not making the money that he wants to make. He didn't get the awards that he feel like he deserves, and he's still struggling financially as an actor. All right. So many other factors that go into this. Let's assume, for the sake of conversation, that they didn't acknowledge him for an award. Maybe he didn't deserve it as far as them giving it to somebody else that did a better job. Maybe he did deserve it for some say, give us free. and Amistad. I don't care nothing about no awards. I got invited to an awards for streamers or for YouTubers or something like that. And I was thinking to myself, man, I'm not flying out there for no award. I don't care nothing about no award. I'm about this money. Which brings us to point number 2, right? About the systematic racism, right? And I'm always wondering who deserves to get what? Like how do you determine whether or not somebody should be paid X amount of dollars or Y amount of dollars? How does that work? I thought that people get paid what they negotiated. How do we know that he don't have habits? How do we know that he don't have child support? Are you supposed to be rich? Do you deserve to be rich? Does that automatically come along with you doing big blockbuster films? I see white guys all the time that have acted in films that didn't necessarily translate into them necessarily being rich. I know some actors say that they did some roles for $5,000 for free to get their name in the door, all of this other type of stuff. How do you determine how rich somebody is supposed to be? And also, does your lifestyle factor into that? Meaning that do you automatically deserve to be rich or do you automatically deserve to have money just because you acted in some big blockbuster films? What do we know? How do we know he wasn't triggering off at the club? How do we know he ain't got no hoes on the side? I know a whole lot of YouTubers. They got 1 million plus subscribers. They got regular jobs like every single day. They go to work. They got their little 1 million subscribers. I know a whole lot of TikTokers. How do you determine whether or not you're supposed to have a whole bunch of money? Who's to determine? Who says who is supposed to get what? That's all I'm asking. When you release yourself of the demons that come along with thinking that everything is against you when you start to make adjustments, I feel like I deserve to get $30 million a year being on a news station. Does it matter how I feel, or does it matter if I'm going to make the adjustments to go and get the money myself? I'm not waiting on nobody. I don't really deserve to get anything from anybody. I get what I earn. And so if you don't necessarily care for it, either you go and create your own film, you go invest in your own studio, you make the adjustments, you do what you got to do. But nobody, and this is just my opinion. And I know they're going to say, Anton, maybe you don't care and all of this other type of stuff. Maybe you ain't black enough. You're not blackety black. I just don't care about grown people making excuses. I'm tired of the systematic racism trope. It just doesn't resonate with me. It's not a thing that I could really tap into. I've never really wanted to be a part of the Victim Olympics. I never really cared about what anybody else thought. I just go and do whatever it is that I want to do when I want to do it. And that's just the end of it. I'm not about to sit here and beg nobody for anything. I'm going to just do whatever it is that I'm going to do. And so if I feel like I deserve it, then I'm going to go and earn it. I'm not waiting on nobody to give me nothing. I don't feel like anybody owes me anything. I don't go into an interview, even in corporate America, and say stuff like, well, you guys deserve to pay me this because they making that. You get what you deserve. Often at times, I will tell you, I would say 9 times out of 10, I'm making way above whatever my contemporaries or my coworkers are, or any of my peers or anybody in that same industry, because I network effectively or whatever. And so I just think that if you don't like it, then get out of the industry, but don't complain about it. Go and get that bag, make better decisions, life decisions. So, but it's just too many other factors that go into it to just say, oh man, he deserves more. He deserves to be rich. I don't know what his lifestyle is. Somebody in the chat said that he paying child support to Kimora Lee Simmons, or he was busting down Kimora Lee Simmons or something like that. I don't know, man. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting story, though. Shout out to everybody that's inside of the chat. Shout out to everybody that tuned in for the Millionaire Morning Show today. You guys are the greatest audience on earth. And we still working on some stuff. We still trying to figure it out, y'all. We gonna figure it out. We gonna get it together. We gonna make sure that the people recognize us one way or another. Thank you to Trini Life Studio says. Trini Life says, nice studio. Look nice and enjoying the show. Thank you to Trini Life. Let me read some more of these super chats and then we'll go from there. Let me see who else we got here. Jay Ben in the building says, where's Auntie Mystique? Did she ask, are you okay yet? Or is she too busy cropping Trump out of the funeral pics? The studio is dope. Love the evolution. Thank you, Jay Ben. I appreciate you. Master Irrigation says, Pastor Bishop AD, shout out to you. Kevin Kaiser says, shout out from Nairobi. Congrats on the new studio. Love to see you win. Xavier Williams says these actors need to schedule coaching calls with you, Time Dog. Shaking my head. This is getting out of hand. I agree. I love to see what the paychecks were. He sounds like all the FBA do, says Sifo. Elsa Turner says, Djimon should have went to the Diddy Jamie Foxx parties. Jay Denoir 89 says systematic racism. Will Smith, anybody? Denzel? Facts. Kimora Dragon in his pocket. Sue? Really? Janice Nicole 82 says he was married to Kimora Lee Simmons. He had money. Okay. Crimson says AD. Sounds like he need to join the Bag Chasers. Speaking of which, make sure you guys jump into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I'll be dropping a video soon, and then directly after the inauguration, we going straight into Stock Club. In addition to that, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so. And then last but not least, we got the Q show tonight, so that should be absolutely awesome, all right? I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Any super chats that I missed, it wasn't because that was intentional. It was because we still working out the kinks. I had to go live at some point. We got to work the kinks out in real time. Hopefully by the time that February hits, everything is good. We get that new internet connection, and that everything continues to go well. We got new everything coming in. So much stuff happening. Let me just give you all an update on our upcoming schedule. So we have the Trump inauguration that's coming up next week. So I will not be back until Wednesday back in the studio, but we're going to live stream it. We're going to try to get the rest of the kinks out today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. And then after that, we off to the races. All right. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Make sure you guys tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Again, the Q show is tonight. I will be dropping an exclusive video on Patreon, and then we going straight into Stock Club and make sure we get into Block Club and Tax Club and all of those good things. I would love it if you guys hit a like for the algorithm. I would love if you subscribed. You guys are the greatest audience on earth. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'm going to see you guys tonight. Peace.